Hey, Glenn.
Hey, Chris.
It's a big week this week.
It's
like a holiday. It's a holiday week.
Is it?
Yeah. Biggest holiday of the season so far. The year.
Valentine's Day?
Yeah, you got it. Valentine's Day. You celebrate, right? Is that a big holiday for you?
Valentine's Day is the awesomest.
It's huge.
I love Valentine's Day with all my heart.
I see what you did
See what I did there?
Your heart. Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah, look, everybody knows you don't have a heart. So
Right.
Valentine's Day. Actually, we were gonna record on Valentine's Day, but we didn't. We rescheduled.
Didn't. Yes, we did.
As they say. Yeah. So you're not a big Valentine's Day? You guys don't go out or anything?
We don't go out now.
Yeah.
We get each other little gifts and stuff and candies and things like that. But that's about the extent of it.
Mm-hmm.
Get stuff for the kids.
Yeah. Yeah. My God, it was almost like Christmas in here yesterday. I'm like, when did this happen? Like, there's like 3 Christmases a year now. There's Christmas, Valentine's Day, and Easter. Those have become like,
yeah, Yeah, I guess so, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we don't, I don't know. You know me a little bit. You might know it's a little kind of my personality that I don't like to be told what to do. So to have a, I don't know if you know.
What?
That. Yeah, it's true. You should know. You're my boss. Yeah, I don't like holiday. I just that's why I don't like Valentine's Day. It's like you must be romantic this day. I'm like, I'm romantic every day. Come on.
I mean, yes, you are.
No, and I guess later on once you're married, I see our anniversary is like our Valentine's. It's like our day. Right? This one is just sort of generic, right?
I agree. I mean, the anniversary we take a lot more serious than Valentine's Day.
It's your day. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's our own special.
Yeah, my wife and I got married on a there's a little known holiday called Sweetest Day. Are you familiar with Sweetest Day?
I am not.
I'm not sure what the background is. It just so happened it coincided with the day we got married, and it's almost like a little mini Valentine's Day. It's almost like the Hallmarks kind of said, maybe we can get another one in the year, and so it's like Valentine's Day without all the the murdering of people. Isn't that what Valentine's Day is about? Yeah, anyway, Sweetest Day. That's in October.
Cool. I did not know that.
There you go. There's cards and everything. So now you have another day you can go to the drugstore and get some cards.
Nice. That's cool.
You've been married a while now, right?
I have.
My anniversary.
I have. It'll be 22. Wow, 22 years this year. So it's about 21 and a half years.
Yeah. Now I'm older than you, but
I know.
I've been married less years. So this year's big, 20 this year. So
is it?
Yep.
Wow.
20.
That's right.
My wife better do something special. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, she better. She
better be working on a party or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're gonna do. We got 2 small kids. What are people with 2 small kids gonna do?
Well, that's an excellent question because last year was our. I mean, in 2015 was our 20th anniversary, and I was kind of thinking about I would like to throw a party. I wanted to throw one for our 20th, but our kids are still fairly young. So they couldn't help or anything, or they're old enough, but they're not
right.
When my parents had their 20th anniversary, we did throw a party and we did help organize and all, so that they wouldn't have to do everything. But anyway, but we didn't because the main reason is because my sister-in-law got married like the next week, and so there's a lot of hubbub about that and around that, and the whole.
She stole your thunder, is what you're saying.
Family.
What you're dancing around.
No, I didn't quite say that, but
that's what I thought I heard you say. No?
But in the scheme of things, that I guess took priority at the time. So I'm thinking maybe for our 25th.
Oh, there you go. Not too far away.
No, it's not. And Megan will be a little bit older, and maybe she can help out a little bit.
I want to come visit. Why don't you? Actually, no. Why don't you do something at Disney? That seems like the way to go. Except all your family be up.
Yeah,
there, I guess.
It'd be you, Melissa, and Tammy and I.
Sounds
and
great.
The kids.
Set it up.
So So anyway, so maybe in a few years we'll have a party, but yeah. So your kids are really young, and
no kidding.
So yeah, so I don't know what you would do, man.
Well, I got we're February. I got 8 months to come up with something.
Yeah, you do.
All right. You got engaged at Disney, though, didn't you?
I did. I think you did too.
I think we both did.
Yeah.
Not together at the same time.
But... No.
Wow.
So I'll tell my story.
Yeah, let's hear it. I'm sure everybody would love to hear it.
Yeah.
Was it Valentine's Day?
It was not Valentine's Day. However, it was a holiday. So I moved to Orlando in December '94, and I started working at the Orlando Sentinel on December 11th, 1994.
Okay. Well, excuse me, will this be on the test?
And Tammy and I had been dating for a while. And and so I moved to Orlando by myself with a little bitty U-Haul trailer. And I was all by myself and everything. I'm like, well, when you're alone and you're starting a new job in a new city, you really start thinking about things. And it's like, well, I haven't asked Tammy to marry me. I don't know why, but so I said, yeah, I'm going to. And so she was coming down to visit for Christmas.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And so she came down, and so Christmas Eve. Actually, I think she arrived on Christmas Eve, and so I took her out to the Magic Kingdom, and I actually bought her an annual pass because I figured, I said, oh, you'll be coming down more often, since I'm here and everything else. And so we actually went and bought an annual pass, and that was back when you had to get your picture on the pass.
Oh, right.
So we had to go through that whole thing on Christmas Eve.
Of course, we should probably point out that the annual passes then were like $10, right? I mean,
almost.
You weren't like a big spender. All right, Christmas. So this was on Christmas Eve. You went there and you got your.
So I had the ring with me, and we went. We just started walking through, and man, I was so nervous. I mean, crazy nervous. And so we went through Tomorrowland, and we went on the Timekeeper. Okay. Is that what Timekeeper? Oh, wait, the
Robin Williams thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. And so we went on that.
Hello, Trevor.
Yes.
Remember? Hello, Trevor.
And then we got off, and we started walking toward Fantasyland, but I took her the way where there's now the Cinderella fountain.
Uh-huh.
And so we started walking to, and nobody was around. So I was like, okay, this is it. And so I stopped her and took out the ring and asked her to propose, and she said yes. And so it was exciting.
Regrets it ever since.
And then we went on Snow White Scary Adventures.
That seems like a good segue.
You like that?
That's great. Well, okay. Was it just like sort of like, okay, well, we're engaged now. What do we do? I guess
that's almost exactly what it was like.
Yeah,
because we were like 24 years old. We did
right,
little babies.
I can relate. So it was where the fountain is now, the Cinderella fountain, and that wasn't there?
A little bit closer to the walkway by Tomorrowland, okay. but yes.
The smokers area over there.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah,
why there? Is it just a like you got?
It was just a quiet, out of the way spot.
I see.
And the castle was there in the background.
Yeah,
and
okay.
That's pretty much it.
Wow.
Because I'm a little bit of an introvert, and I didn't want to make a big scene.
So you said, let's make a podcast. I see. Okay.
And our numbers reflect that.
I'm not going to comment on that.
So what's your story?
That's great. I don't know. We got hit. We got, whatever. No, so it's kind of similar. I mean, it probably happens. Like, I wonder how many engagements there are in there. Like we talked about photos before. It's probably almost equal photos to engagements. I'm thinking. Right?
Wow.
So what do we say? 50,000 an hour or something? It's probably the same because your Twitter feed must have them too. I constantly see people getting engaged there, but that's cool. So yeah, I mean, and did Tammy have any idea? Am I allowed to use her name? Did your wife have any idea that you were proposing?
I do not think so. No.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
If she did, she certainly didn't lead on.
Yeah. So what's weird is it's kind of scary how similar some of these points are. So, all the way up until, if I don't know, month I guess before we were going on a trip. So this was a little bit of all right. I gotta do my super secret voice here. This was a little bit of a clandestine trip. Because we were in our 20s at the time. I don't think I'd be telling you stories if I said Melissa's parents would not have been pleased to know she was going out of town with a boy. So this was a little on the QT. I'm not sure how we got away with it. I guess she told some sort of fib.
I hope they don't listen.
No, pretty sure they don't. Are you kidding? Melissa doesn't even listen. Hi, honey. So, it was a little on the QT. So, and, I was not big on the idea of marriage for a long time. And, and even it was like, I'm a pretty good actor. So it was like, even like a week before we were coming down here. And this was, it's so funny. And I don't know if other people experience this. This was our first trip to Disney World together. This was 95, I guess. Mm-hmm. And it was the most low budget affair. I mean, we stayed at literally I don't know if it was, but like a Holiday Inn Express something down on 192, and we were too broke to stay in Disney hotels, et cetera, at that point. But it was one of the best trips, just because it was one of the first things we did. But anyway, so we were doing that kind of trip, coming down as I'm not even sure how it came up to go to Disney because I hadn't been since I was 13 years old prior to that, so I'm not sure how it came up. But I was getting really into Disney for a while. And we said, let's go trip down there. So we went down there, and I don't know what happened. Something just popped in my head a few months before. I'm like, well, if I'm gonna do this proposal thing, this would be the time to do it because surely nobody does this. It'd be very unique. And we lived out of state, so it would be like little did we know, but it would be like some sort of exotic, faraway place that we got engaged. Disney World. And so we came down, and I had this whole plan in my head that. And we're going to get to the Magic Kingdom. We spend the day at the Magic Kingdom. And then right as the fireworks were going off, I would propose. And it would be, lots of drama. Well, I was kind of nervous the whole time. I had the ring in my bag. And we spent the whole day in the Magic Kingdom doing whatever. It's all a blur now. And I got to a point where I couldn't stand it anymore. I couldn't wait for the fireworks. So I just we gotta do this thing. So So somehow I meandered us to the very front of the castle, which I don't even know if you can get there anymore. I guess you can maybe if the show's not going on. But actually at the end, like you used to be able to go up the ramp to the front, and then there was like a lamppost there. Yeah. So right at that lamppost, that's where I said, "Hang on, I have a question for you," and I don't know, stumbled through whatever it was that I said. And did you get down on one knee? Did you?
I did not, no.
Yeah, I didn't either. I thought about the time. I'm like, I really probably should. But unlike you, where you were, it was so crowded where I was. Right. There were so many people around. And in fact, I still remember like the whole world kind of went in slow motion. Right. And I remember this guy was like right next to us. And I remember him like, he tapped his wife and he was like, he starts pointing at us, and he's like, look, and he had that big grin on his face because they were obviously a little bit older and had been married for a while. So I didn't have a little bit of an introvert too. So I didn't feel like performing for everybody. Yeah. So I was trying to keep it just like a little private. I wanted to be right there on the steps of the castle, but a little private thing with the two of us. And so we did that, and like I said, I wanted to be like right as the fireworks were going, but I blew it by like an hour or so, and so we kind of wandered around like aimlessly, like we were like stunned, both of us, even though I knew it was coming. She had no idea, and then sort of just wandered to a bench behind the castle, and just sort of sat there and like people watched, and then the fireworks started after that, which we could watch because they're behind the castle. Yeah. And that's the story. So 20-something odd years later, here we are.
Very cool.
So I bet a lot of people get engaged. It seems like a place.
Yeah.
For that. It seems like there's so many more neat places to do it now too.
And you and I, well, that's the thing. You and I did it when it. I'm sure a lot of other people did it, but it wasn't like now you can arrange it, right, with Disney.
Oh yeah, there was not. I mean, maybe you could. I didn't know anything if there was, but it was just this was it's sort of like roll your own if you will.
Yeah. So, now okay, you want option A, B, or C? Like,
yep. So what we want? We need. What we need? I'm going to make a plea to our listeners. I want more engagement stories. So, if anybody else would share engagement stories. So we should have done this the week before, so this was ready for Valentine's Day. But that's why we brought it up now, because it was Valentine's Day.
Right.
Maybe some of you, or maybe you're planning to propose, so post that too. Yeah, actually, I saw. What?
They might not want to do that.
Well, it's up to them. They're going to know whether their spouses will do it or not. They're their future spouses. But actually, I saw somebody, because you mentioned, now you can arrange it and stuff. I saw somebody had proposed right on Main Street, and they actually had buttons that said, I'm engaged, and the buttons had their names on it. So I guess, is that a service you can have Disney print those up for you?
I'm sure you can.
Yeah.
Disney would do anything for...
Well, they didn't have that at the time. So
no, they didn't.
All we have is our great memories. But that's a stunner, right? Once you get engaged, it's sort of like I don't know if you. Now I'm going way back, but in school I studied a lot of film. I have a communications degree in college, and so we studied a lot of films. And so The Graduate was one of the big ones we studied. Remember you ever seen the movie The Graduate? Yeah,
it's been a long time.
But anyway, at the end of the movie, like the whole thing is he wants to be with this guy. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it. At the end, he finally gets the girl, and they're like on a bus, and there's this whole sort of look like, okay, well, now what? So it's that kind of vibe, okay, now we're engaged. So,
right.
Yeah, it's worked out. Hey, you almost 20, over 20 years, us almost 20 years. Maybe it's good luck to get engaged.
Yeah, maybe.
All right, enough romance. To another topic.
Enough romance.
Let's get our own brand of romance.
Well, no, it does relate. I mean, it shows how we've Disney has played a part in some big parts of our lives, sure. Right?
Well, and that's why that's I don't want to speak for you, but that's and through the years, more or less amounts, but yeah, it's I mean, the whole reason we live here was because of that. We came down here for that trip, loved it so much. We got engaged, and then of course we're gonna have to plan our honeymoon. We came down here for our honeymoon, stayed at the Contemporary for a week. That was a great trip. Someday I'll have to tell you the story about how I had no other clothes than one pair of shorts, but we'll get to that later. Wow. And then we started coming to like twice a year. We said, well, let's just try to live down there, so we can enjoy it in the off season when nobody's there.
Right.
And,
of course.
One of those things worked out. We moved down here.
You moved down?
Yes, you're right. It's a huge part of our lives in many ways.
Yeah.
So. All right. Is that it? Is that the show?
That's it. No, that's not it.
So much more. You get your money's worth on. Your money's worth on this show.
That's right.
Okay. What else we got?
Well, I think we actually had our first listener request.
Kind of.
In a roundabout way, right?
Yeah. Well, it was feedback that, hey, you guys talked a little bit about photography. That'd be neat to hear more. So. Is that what you're talking about? Hopefully
yes,
I got
it
the
is.
Right. Okay, so we don't have to redo that.
No,
yeah, good. Don't. Yeah, so and it's one of those things that I've been talking a lot, so jump in. But I mean, it's and it's another big topic for us because it's something that we're pretty into. Like, where do you even start with that topic, right?
Yeah, that is a good point. So, it is because it's such a huge topic that. I mean, you can have a podcast dedicated to that. I think what we kind of decided on is well, we've both of us between the two of us have taken a gazillion pictures,
one or two,
and so I think a good way to maybe attack this is to pick maybe an area of the park or an attraction or whatever, and try to explain what we've done. what we've tried to capture and try to help our audience both understand, what we're doing and how they can maybe even get, get the same pictures or think differently about how they take pictures. Does that sound about it?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, because I imagine a lot of people, I mean, myself included, like, see pictures either, professional, what am I trying to say, official ones that Disney might put out there, and you're like, well, that's obviously the same park I go to, but it doesn't look that way when I take my pictures.
Right.
But even something more realistic, like maybe some other good photographers, and sometimes we should probably talk about some of because there are some great photographers out on the net that post some amazing things of the parks, all of them, but especially Disney World, Disneyland.
Yeah, and I follow a lot of them on Flickr and Twitter and Instagram, and I'll literally just sit there and go through like Flickr and look at these beautiful photos they've taken, and what I try to do is look at what settings they use, what kind of camera they use, to try to get to try to learn, right?
Yeah.
To try to improve my game.
Right. And sometimes it's little bitty things that you don't realize that if you just keep certain things in mind, you can really improve your photography tenfold by just like next time you go to Disney World, keep 3 things in mind. Don't worry about anything else. Keep, have 3 ideas in your head about, I'm going to try this, this, or this. And I bet anything people will come back with better photos.
Yeah.
But before we get into it, can I describe my strategy with where to take photos in Disney World, and then you can comment on that. Does that work for you?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
So my strategy is I wander around, and every time I see one of those Nikon picture spot signs, I take a picture.
That's what I do.
Okay, well then this is going to be a short episode.
That's crazy. No.
Speaking of which, by the way, am I the only smartass that has actually taken pictures of the picture spot?
No,
signs?
You are not the only smartass that has done that, because I've done that too.
But now some of them are some of them are now collector's items, because they have the
Kodak.
The Kodak, right?
Yeah.
Now they're Nikon, which I'm happy about. I like Nikon.
That's
but they're still there, right? I haven't really paid much attention.
No, they still are.
They're still around, right? All right. So actually, now I think about it, some are actually pretty nice. Like I took a picture one at the studios that was like in a themed kind of frame or something.
Oh yeah, they're all themed. And those are good for. Okay, so I think the reason they have those is they've had them back since the film days, and so when you had film, you were somewhat limited in what you would take.
I got 12 shots I can take today.
Yeah, and so they had these photo spots set up so that you could get as close to a postcard photo as possible, right?
And to be fair, some of them, they are really well placed. I mean I've run into a bunch where I've just sort of wandered over and go, oh, I bet there's a good shot over here I can get, and lo and behold, I'm standing right next to the picture spot. So I mean, even if maybe that's tip number 1, even if you just paid attention to those and used them as the signpost they are, then that might get you there, at least on the first step. So
that's right.
But mainly just take pictures of them, because that's fun.
Yeah.
All right. But what else could one do? If where are we going? Are we going to talk about a specific area?
Yeah.
Are we going to talk about all of Disney World? What are we doing?
Yeah. So I think we're going to start off with a kind of an easier spot.
Okay.
And we're Tomorrowland.
TTC? Oh,
the TTC.
Not the TTC.
I'm taking my share of pictures there too, man.
Tomorrowland. Okay.
Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
And I think that has I think it's a popular place for people to take photos, simply because there's so many shapes, right? Tomorrowland's very angular and they have roundness and it's just visually
a lot of geometry.
Right? Yeah. So that's attractive. And then at night it becomes a completely different place with all the neon lights and just the primary colors that they have and so it's fascinating to take night shots there. There's just a lot of cool things in Tomorrowland to take shots of, and I think a lot of people recognize that and try to take photos in Tomorrowland. I know that's where I pretty much got my start when I was first starting out. Where I did a lot of experimentation and everything.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that. I don't know why, but for some reason, it may just be the ones you first showed me. World Showcase. I remember you showed me World Showcase photos.
Those were the two. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Tomorrowland and World Showcase.
Okay. Yeah, Tomorrowland's neat, but it's not a slam dunk though. I mean, it actually is challenging to get some good pictures there for a lot of reasons, right? For lighting and for the number of people there, because at least usually when I'm there, because I don't go that early. If anybody's been paying attention,
what?
No, I'm not an early guy. There's usually a lot of people there, and so what do you do? Like, do you have because I know you, and this is how do I say this? This if people go to Disney World often, or even if they're just maybe they're going down for a week, don't be afraid to retake the same pictures, right?
My goodness.
Or try another run at it, because I think both you and I both will have spots where we're like, I know I've taken this shot 100 times, but I haven't quite gotten what I want out of it, so I'm going to do it again.
Right.
So what spots do you like? I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Thanks. So there was one spot, and I didn't. I'll be honest, I did not look to see if it was still there. This is a spot that they used to have. It was the very first, almost always the very first photo I took when I went to Disney World, when I visited. On the Tomorrowland side, heading up Main Street toward the castle, on the Tomorrowland side, there's a green railing, right? That used to keep you, away from the moat and, the water features and everything else.
There's usually 2 ducks there that are looking for food.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So, but there was a perfect angle where you could take the shot and you would get the main. What is that? The main drag, or the entrance, pathway into Tomorrowland with, and you get the people mover and all of that. And then, but in the background, it's almost the only place you could get that plus Space Mountain sticking up over that. Mm. And so
which is your Space Mountain is kind of your MacGuffin, right? I mean,
it is.
Okay. All right.
So it got so bad that my wife, every time we would go there, she would just stop because she knew, and she'd roll her eyes and like, how many times can you take this picture,
Right.
And it's like, well, I have a different lens or whatever, or it's nighttime, or it's a different time of the day.
Right.
So that's one that used to be a no-brainer. I would always take. And I've gotten some really good shots of it. Based on like one day it was about to really rain or something, and so these really dark clouds are over Space Mountain, and I really liked that shot. That shot came out nice. Yeah. I took I tried to take them at night, with Space Mountain lit up and everything, and all of Tomorrowland lit up. Those I might have 1 or 2 keepers in that, but that was a good go-to for me.
Yeah, I don't know if we mentioned it, but I mean, this is a great topic for a podcast and an audio podcast. But we're gonna share these. We're gonna share these pictures, right? So
yeah, we are absolutely.
Probably on the Facebook page.
Yes.
So what is it? Tron FM. People can find us, right? TRON
yes.
FM.
Facebook.com/Tron FM.
There you go.
No underscore.
Okay, so we'll share them so people can see them. But can I comment on something you mentioned? Because I think it's a really key point, especially I think everywhere, but maybe especially with Tomorrowland, because you mentioned time of day. You say, well, I don't have this picture this time of day. That is so crucial to good photography when you're talking about environmental photography like this, because you're not going to get great shots. You're not going to get great sort of scenery shots in the middle of the day, right?
Right.
There's magic hour, they call it in photography land, and you can Google it and find it. But basically, it's sort of like the hour in the morning and the hour in the evening when you're transitioning from night until morning, and it's basically sunrise, sunset, right? So, and Tomorrowland especially, because you've got so much light in Tomorrowland that if you wait until it's completely dark, the lights look neat, but you don't get that contrast of the sky behind it. So, if you can try to time the shots when you're working through Tomorrowland, when you're in the evening through that magic hour, you'll get way better shots than if you do it full midday or full, at night.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. That's why exactly what you said earlier is 100% true. Even if you've taken the shot before, take it again, because it could be it's more than likely it's a different time of day.
Right.
Just take it.
Yeah. Sure. Why not? Especially now, because, I mean, digital's cheap, right? You can take thousands of pictures, and all it costs is your time to go through them.
Right.
So, all right. So, by the way, I have never gotten a decent shot of Tomorrowland from, like, the entrance. Every single one I've tried. I don't know why. Maybe there just isn't a good shot of that. But
no, I think the people.
You did one on our last trip that I thought was pretty neat of the,
really?
the rocks and didn't you did one of the like the rocks that are newly painted, and then kind of looking at the moat, and then back to Main Street, kind of back that way, kind of look back.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know great shots of the entrance. Never do. Don't know why.
Yeah, that one's okay.
Yeah.
It's not one of my favorites, but it's okay.
Okay. Well, anyway.
Well, so I think the biggest problem is people, right? I mean,
that's always the problem.
You're trying to get angles where you're trying to minimize the number of people that are in the shot, right? Random people.
Yep. Right.
Because I took one just last time where, it's of the Tomorrowland sign. I'm, almost under it, but there's people in it, and it's like, okay, it's a good snapshot, but it's nothing that I'm going to hang on my wall.
Right, and that's every time with Tomorrowland. It seems like there is. Now, the only thing I could think of, not to get too deep into this, but I wonder if, like, I used a more telephoto lens and stepped back. Yeah. And so you get that kind of compression of the Tomorrowland sign and that robot-y looking thing that's like the archway of it, and then further back you get the details. I don't know, but I never get a decent shot there. They all look like snapshots. So you can either try or don't spend a lot of time there either way.
Yeah.
But what else do you like? What else do you think?
What do I like? So my as you mentioned before as well, my favorite attraction to take photos of is Space Mountain.
Mm-hmm. Well, why not? It's pretty majestic, right?
It is. It is. And I have one of my favorite shots is I took it during the Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party.
Oh, yeah.
So there weren't too many people in this shot. And I think I might have even been able to Photoshop a couple people out, right?
Well, you say that like it's a bad thing.
No.
That's a whole other topic we'll get to someday. You're not, how much editing is okay.
Right.
Go ahead.
Right.
All right. So, yeah.
So this shot I actually took with a tripod. So it was a night shot. Mm-hmm. I took it with a tripod. And I took it with special lighting because of Very Merry Christmas Party. Okay. And so it's snowflakes on Space Mountain. Right.
Yeah.
And it's so since I was using a tripod, I use a long shutter speed. So that helped ghost a lot, any of the people that actually were there that were moving through.
Yeah.
So that you really, can't see them. Yeah. But there were, like a couple, I think, like a stroller and a mom, like they were obviously waiting for people to come out of Space Mountain.
Right.
But that's probably my favorite shot of Space Mountain that I've ever taken because it's the only one that I've minimized the number of people so that it actually looks, it looks good.
Right. And that's, I'd mentioned Disney's, formal shots for their marketing and stuff, and that's something you'll always notice. There's almost nobody in the parks. It's wide open because they actually they shoot all that prior to park opening usually.
Right.
So,
right.
But yeah, it's a nice trick with night shots, dude. And you even did that. I mean, to mention that gear is not that important.
Right.
You used to do that technique back with the little Olympus camera we talked about before, right? You had a little tiny, if I remember right, a little small pocket tripod.
Yeah.
You put it on the ground, just set a long shutter speed, and that's one of the amazing bits of magic by doing that is that as people move, then they don't make a solid impression on the image, so it makes it seem like there's fewer people there. So,
right.
Great tip. Yeah.
And I used to do I did that with I would set the timer. Right. I would set the timer and have a long shutter speed, and then because they have special lighting for the Not So Scary Halloween party as well.
Right. Yep.
And I think you were with me at this one, and I don't think I had my tripod, but there's a cart there that that sells hats.
Okay.
Near Space Mountain. I don't know if you know. Anyway,
I'm going to guess. Okay, probably some cart that sells something.
But it was closed up, and so I actually put
okay.
it on top of. I put the camera on top of the cart.
Yeah.
So it's about a foot or two above my head, and it took it was just the point and shoot camera, and it took some pretty good pictures, you know. And that was back when I was learning, you know.
And sometimes that's all it takes is just understanding. Again, if you just keep a couple of concepts in mind and you try some things like that, like okay, I'm going to try a long shutter speed, and I can't handhold that, but I don't have a tripod, so I'm going to set it on the ground. Sometimes you might be surprised what kind of shot you get, or put it on a bench or the top of a cabana, or who knows what.
Yeah, exactly.
While they last.
Right.
All right. So Tomorrowland. So you take a lot from Space Mountain from like the area right in front of Space Mountain, and I joke about cabanas, but I think you mentioned before that was actually a place that you like to kind of shoot from. Is that right? Yeah.
There was a. So if you're looking at Space Mountain on the right hand side, exactly where the cabanas are now, there's it's where the Skyway station used to be, but there's like a step down area where you can go down 2 or 3 steps,
right?
And you can shoot Space Mountain, and get a couple palm trees in the foreground. Which is
the Tomorrowland palm trees you're talking about, right? Or
no, the actual palm trees, real ones.
Gotcha.
And so you can get those in. So it's kind of a funky Florida shot, right?
Okay.
Or I also got a great shot of the moon. We could see it during the day, and so I just zoomed in on the upper spires.
Yeah,
and
I laugh because you're well known to like your pictures of the moon.
I do, I know. And so I love that shot as well. So I try to shoot Space Mountain from any angle I can. I've just always loved the look of Space Mountain, and so it's just I gotta take shots of it.
Yeah,
because it's there.
Right. Great. What else? Besides Space Mountain.
Well, are you gonna? You want to?
No, I don't take any pictures for real.
You're so silly.
Well, I just talk. There's okay. I'll talk generally. So I one of my favorite shots, and it's one of my favorite rides, is the People Mover, because that's my speed.
Yeah,
just sit and chill on the People Mover. But it's and I was thinking of it before when you were talking about Tomorrowland and how it's a great subject because of the light and the geometry and the colors, etc. One of my favorite shots, I actually processed it as a black and white shot. So, which is actually Tomorrowland is great for that, especially when you look at because of the geometry of it. So you look at the shape of like Space Mountain and its things. But anyway, the picture I took was going up it's not really an escalator, but the escalator-ish thing that gets you up there, and sort of taking up into the canopy, and I used kind of a wide angle lens, so you got kind of the ramp
my
up.
God, I remember that shot. I love that shot that you took. I absolutely remember that.
Thank you. So, and it's different because it's almost like you can't place it because I did it in black and white. It takes the color out and it focuses on the texture and the geometry of the architecture of that, which is actually kind of interesting when you look at it. It almost looks like you're under a mushroom, kind of, just because the way the kind of ribs of the building go and stuff. So that's one of I like doing that with Tomorrowland is doing more of that as black and white. And I wish more people did black and white photos at Disney World. I think it's very easy to focus on color just because, as humans, that's what attracts us. And there's a lot that Disney has obviously put into picking colors and designing palettes and things that make it appealing. But just to do some things once in a while that stand out, if you see some things that really have some interesting design to them. And sometimes you'll find that a shot just completely does not work in color, and you look at it and go, well, how come I don't get that feel from it? But if you take if you put it in some sort of image editing and you take the color out of it and just bring the saturation down, just make it a black and white, and maybe play with the contrast a little bit, you might get the feeling back of what that was, because you focus then just on the sort of shapes and textures of the thing. So so that's I always like the People Mover. like I said, take a shot there. I've always tried to get shots on the ride itself. I'm not very good at that, but I think that might be one that you do somewhat often.
Yeah, and I'll freely admit, this is one that I saw on Flickr probably, it could be as long as a decade ago.
Wow.
The first one I saw. But so there's a shot I take, and it's I like taking it when I'm in the very last car on the People Mover, but this last time we were in the second to last car, but the last car was empty.
I've never even noticed, like, how many cars are in a set?
5.
Is it really that many? I never noticed. Okay.
Yeah.
I always thought it was just a couple, but all right.
And so I was disappointed at first, but then when I got home and looked at the pictures, I'm like, oh, that's actually really cool because you can actually see the People Mover in the shot. So what I do is I put it on a longer shutter speed so that it the motion will blur as you're going. But what you do is you turn around and shoot the rear of the train of the Okay. So this time I was able to focus on the car and get that in focus, the last car. And what happens is as you travel through, and it works the best, I found. Actually, it works the best around Carousel of Progress because there's that wall on the right hand side.
Yep.
And that kind of stays in focus a little bit too. It's solid, but then on the left hand side, you get the lights of Tomorrowland and you get the railing and the lights from above. And they're all streaks, right? So it looks kind of there's a lot of good motion in it, and it's very abstract for the most part. Especially if you take it if you are in the last car and you don't get any of the train in it. And you just take the track and everything else, it's very abstract.
Yeah.
And the first time I saw it on Flickr, I'm like, that is fascinating. And I couldn't figure out how they did it. For some stupid reason, I assumed they were doing it from the front of the train.
Yeah.
And so I tried that first. I'm like, this isn't coming. What is going on?
All right.
And then I realized, I'm like, well, no, it's got to be. Let me try this. And it was like, bang, that's it.
See, that's why it's valuable. Try shots multiple times.
Yeah, so. Yeah.
Ah, cool. Okay. So what's interesting about that, and I think every picture we've talked about so far, is there's been no people in them, right? So,
right.
And this is something I actually debate with now. So most of the time I've spent taking pictures at Disney World, we didn't have kids. So most of the pictures that I have prior to 2011 are of the park itself. With occasionally my wife would appear in them, etc. But mostly it was about taking pictures of Disney World itself. Now, I would think most people going down are probably taking pictures of their family members, right? Usually kids or whatever.
Right.
In fact, I have a good friend of mine that he said to me once, it may have been before I had kids, I'm not sure. He's like, when I go back and I look at my pictures now, I don't care about any of the ones that are just of the buildings or the place. The only ones I care about are the ones that are my family in it because I have an emotional connection to those.
Right.
And I'm not in that camp exactly, but since having kids, I noticed that, they do pictures of them will definitely take priority over sort of in scenic ones. So, I mean, do you have a similar do you still enjoy taking sort of scenic shots as much? Do you take more with, obviously do, but I mean, do you, has it lessened your enjoyment of taking pictures of Disney itself? Do you find most of your shots now have people in them or what?
Yeah, they do. And so I actually am in the camp where that's my first priority is getting pictures of, and this is a whole long discussion, but I'll keep it brief for this podcast. We can go into it a little more later on, but so that's my goal when I travel, and I'm excluding this last trip obviously because I didn't have my family with me.
Well, it was specifically to go take pictures of.
It's specifically, yes, absolutely, because I hadn't done that since, good Lord, since 2004 or so, 2005. so it was different, and what I found. So I'm going down a different tangent just real quick, and I'll come right back. But what I found this last trip is I lost a lot of my mojo with taking just landscape photography, whatever we want to call it, because I'm not used to it anymore. I don't really gear up, and I don't really think in those ways anymore. And it's so odd because that's all I had focused on for so long before I had kids, and I really didn't think it was nothing intentional that made me change or anything. Mm-hmm. But absolutely, my first focus now is getting is my objective when I go on a trip to Disney World with my family now is to capture our experience.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so what I try to do is my main objective is to get the kids and my wife with as much of the attraction or land or wherever we are as possible.
Right.
So yeah, I actually am in that camp. And so that's most of the pictures that I've been taking over the last 10 years when we've just been visitors back to Disney World, or to Disneyland or wherever is to get that, to tell a story. Right. So when I do get back and I, go through all my photos and put them on Flickr and, make it a screensaver on the TV, and we all sit down and we just let it run. And it's like, oh, I remember that. And oh, look at that. We were having so much fun. And,
Yep. Which is a different objective than pictures you might see out on the internet of just like really amazing scenic shots in Disney, right? So
right.
If I'm there and I'm there very late at night, there's nobody there, I'm taking a night shot of the castle from the hub or somewhere. That's one objective. But I totally agree with you. I think and I would imagine most of the people who listen, it's more from we go to Disney World because we're out with friends enjoying the day, or we go with mm-hmm. family, and maybe it's just because you and I kind of like the same things, but I look at it, it's more of a photojournalist style, which means, I may take a photograph of the food that I ate that day because there was
right.
there was something obscene about that hot dog that
right.
that see last episode,
yeah.
And so you put those things together. For me, I think it's a balance, right? I think it's because I still do enjoy. Because both are a subject, and I guess if there's any tips that come out of this, I think one tip is if you are taking pictures of family members, it's a tough line, but you want to try and get enough environment around them that you can mm-hmm. tell where they are, because it doesn't do any good if they're so close up that all you see is their face, but there's nothing to indicate kind of where they are.
Right.
But you also don't want to be so far back that your family's just like in the crowd, and you get all of the Magic Kingdom in there. So it's a balance. But I think if you focus on nothing else, tell the story of the day. Find those things that are that are kind of key and go from there. Right.
Yeah, and I think the number one. So if anybody's looking for a tip to automatically make their photos better, and Chris, you know exactly what I'm going to say.
No, I don't.
Whether you have a DSLR or your camera or any kind of camera, your phone or any kind of camera you have, the easiest thing you can do when you have children to make sure you have a good shot.
Yeah.
And it's so simple, but I guarantee 90% of the people just simply don't do it, is get down to their level.
Yes, thank you. I mentioned before we started recording that there is one huge pet peeve I have with photography.
Sorry.
And this is it. It makes me insane, and everybody does it, which is, we're adults, so we're, 5 feet taller than maybe the little kids we're taking pictures of. Mm-hmm. And so many pictures of I'm looking down and the kid's looking up, and you get a great shot of the pavement that they're standing on.
Right.
And, people see my shots of my children like, Did you hire somebody to do this? They're so good. And I swear to God that the only thing I do in a lot of them is I just get down to eye level with them. And it makes it so much easier to get the environment that they're in. And, it will 100,000-fold increase pictures of kids if they're younger kids, obviously, or anybody that is a different height than you, get at eye level with them. If they're taller than you, raise yourself up so that you're shooting at eye level with them. If I ever take a picture of you, that's what I got to do. So yes, thank you for mentioning that. Number one pro tip: if you get nothing else from this hour and whatever of ridiculousness, if you take pictures of kids, take it from their level, and you'll be amazed at how much better the shots are.
Right. Exactly.
Yep.
I mean, that's it. We could just end right there because that is so important.
I don't want to lose the emphasis, but I will put a sidecar tip on there. It kind of goes with it. I see a lot of other people that also make the mistake of they put their kid's face in the dead center of the frame. I'm not sure why. Something psychological about like that's the target area, so I'm going to put the kid's picture there. Even if you shoot it that way, go edit it later and then make it crop it a bit more like a portrait. But if nothing else, the other tip: don't ignore that rule. Get down to their level. I mean, and it's uncomfortable a lot of times. You have, and I've been in a park and I'm like practically sitting on the ground because, especially when the kids are younger, they're not.
I have sat on the ground. I've laid on the ground.
Right, but the picture is so much better. Sometimes, actually, Disney World's a great place for this. There are so many sort of benches, and I won't say railings because that would be unsafe. But what would you call those? They're kind of. Where sometimes there's like plants behind them, but then there's like a wide part and the bench lower, but they can stand up on that wide part. You know what I mean? I'm not explaining.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I know what you're talking
about. So it's sort of like the backrest of wherever the seat is, but it's wide enough they could stand up there. So many times I put them up there so that they can be more eye level and get better shots that way. So yes, number one tip.
Yeah.
If you don't have kids or borrow somebody else's, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Glad we got that out. I'm exhausted now. But no. So where I was going to go was all right. So we talked about back to Tomorrowland.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going there with my family, I want to take an unusual picture of my family, like the non-traditional one, but I want it to feel like Tomorrowland. What should I take?
I would say the best thing you could do is take a trip on the Astro Orbiter. And because I've done this with traveling, not just with my wife and kids, but also with my sister and brother and their husbands and girlfriends and whatever at the time. And what you do is you sit in the car in a rocket, at least one in front of them, sit in front of them so when the ride starts, you turn around, and believe me, it's not easy because you have there's G-forces pulling against you. It's very, very uncomfortable. And I'm afraid of heights, and so that's freaky too. But anyway, so you turn around and they're flying, right? They're in the rocket, they're flying. And I'm looking right now, this is one I'll post, but I have one of my sister and her husband in one rocket right behind me, and then my brother and his girlfriend right behind them, and then Space Mountain's right in the background.
Right. And this is where gear can come into play, because if all you have is sort of a wider angle lens, you're not really going to get the feel you want. So I think you want probably a slightly telephoto view so you can zoom in a bit.
Yeah, and that's exactly what this shot is. It's not a wide angle. So you can see their faces beautifully.
Because if you just get up there and try to do that shot with your iPhone, it's not going to have the right vibe.
No.
You got to have to somewhere you can zoom in a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
And then if you want to be adventurous and go on it at night,
you stand up.
Well,
that's bad advice. No,
so you make sure, because I've done this, but you make sure to tell your family, okay, when you see me turn around, try to sit as still as you can for just a second. And
they roll their eyes and say, "Daddy, can't we just enjoy it?"
I know. Well, okay, so let me finish this note. But and then do the same thing, turn around and just have a slightly longer shutter speed. So that when you take that shot, they're in focus. But there's movement and the lights are on, and you'll get you'll get the rocket looking like it's flying through space.
Right. Great tip.
But Chris, actually, it's gotten to that point where my kids do. That's what my kids do. They're like, oh, Daddy, come on, do we have to take another picture? Do we have to really, that's all you do is take pictures.
Yeah, but you know what? Someday they'll appreciate it.
And that's exactly what I tell them is like,
I'm sure they
I don't have a lot of pictures of me as a kid when I was here. You'll appreciate them when you're my age. So just relax. You'll get there.
It's the price you pay for getting to go to Disney World. So suck it up.
Right. These are my souvenirs now. So
that's right. So that tip, by the way, also good for, and it's not Tomorrowland, but Dumbo or Aladdin, any of those sort of those rides like that. Yeah, great. Is there anything else about Tomorrowland we didn't cover? It's a neat place to take, neat land to take pictures.
Well, just real quick, same thing, basically the same idea for when you're on the Wedway or the People Mover, what we're calling it. If you sit facing backwards and they sit, on the other seat, you can get a lot of good shots of them looking at Tomorrowland or whatever they're looking at. So that's another good place to get the family in the photo.
Cool. Okay. We covered a lot of ground with that.
Yeah, I think so. There's a bunch of other places, but those are big ones. Oh, I did take this last trip. So Carousel of Progress has a new paint job on it.
Right.
So I tried to take some different photos than I normally do, and I have a fisheye lens, which is a super wide angle. It's almost 180 degrees, and
pretty distorted, right? It's called,
and it's very distorted, so it's
that look to it, right?
Absolutely. And so I took this photo of when it was stopped, obviously. I got up to the exit. I went to the exit and got up to the railing and put my camera through the railing and as close as I could get it, and took a couple shots. And because of the effect of the fisheye and the lights above it and the roundness of the Carousel of Progress, it came out to be a really good shot, I think. It's different.
I like that one.
It's different. It's colorful. It's it's just a unique perspective, I think.
Right. Yep. I liked it. I remember seeing a couple of shots. They look neat.
Yeah.
And you can get fish. I mean, some fisheye lenses, like if you were to get Nikon brand one, they could be really expensive. But there's some sort of third party ones that aren't too badly priced, right? Yeah,
that's what I use. So even though I'm using the Sony mirrorless camera, I use an adapter. It's actually a lens for a Nikon camera, and it's a fisheye lens. It's completely manual. Even on the Nikon camera, it was completely manual.
Yeah.
But if I paid $200 for it, that was on the high end, I think.
Yeah, and they're neat. I mean, it's a specialty purpose thing. You're not going to use it obviously for the entire day there, but it's a neat effect to throw in once in a while.
Right.
Cool. Was that cover it for Tomorrowland? I don't want to cut you off, but
no, I think I covered everything I wanted to. What about you? Do you have any?
No,
special
I don't take
shots?
any good pictures. No,
you're so silly.
No. I find Tomorrowland kind of challenging, only because things I mentioned before. Because it's not big wide vistas like the castle, whatever. But but I'm looking more for textures and things like that. So I think that black and white one. I'll look back through my pictures again too to see if there's anything else, and I'll post them with you. But I think it's a great place to experiment. It's a pretty compact place. There's a lot there to take pictures of.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's probably a place that, and I haven't done a whole lot of it, but probably doing more kind of telephoto to more isolate details of it. Like just for instance, taking a picture of those little green aliens on top of that little shop that's out by Buzz Lightyear ride. stuff like that. There's a lot of little details there. Not so many grand vistas other than, kind of ones you talked about, but there's lots of stuff there to kind of explore. So
yeah,
I'd love to hear some feedback from listeners, whether, if they want to post some shots of theirs or if they,
if they
any
could do
questions
that,
or thoughts on these tips.
Awesome. Yeah.
So, okay, cool. I like it. And I think we've heard that maybe we'll do some more with some photography. While we're talking, I'm thinking we can talk about doing night photography. We can talk about some fireworks photography.
Right, and depending on
see what the people want.
Right, exactly. Depending on the feedback, we can go into more detail about our actual setups, or less detail, or we can get a feel of what the people want, and we can go from there.
Awesome. Okay, good topic.
Mm-hmm.
What's next?
I love talking about photography. So.
Okay. Wait, what's next?
Charity spot.
Yeah, cool. All right. So where am I got? I gotta look for my tab here where I had my notes. Oh dear, where is it? I will talk slowly as I look for my tab in my browser. There it is. Okay, so this is I think I called these before a meta pick. So I'm not going to pick a specific charity, but partly because I've done a little bit of research looking at different charities, because I want to make sure I'm not inadvertently recommending something that for some reason is known not to be the best for whatever reason. Either they keep too much of the funds to pay the people that work there, or I don't know, whatever the case is, if there's any drama surrounding them. So I usually try to do a little bit of Googling. This time I was looking around and I actually found a really great page from, surprised me a little bit, but from Consumer Reports. I think this was published in December of 2016, so not that long ago, a few months ago, a couple months ago, where they did kind of a rundown about charities and looking at the best charities for your donations. Now, it was kind of like end of year, so they were talking about tax time and things related to that. But they actually have a chart of some high-rated and some low-rated charities in different sections. So they have like animal welfare, cancer, child assistance, etc. And they've got some pretty good columns of both highly rated and lower rated. And actually one of the lower rated ones really kind of surprised me. So have to go back and see why that is. But, generally Consumer Reports does some good research, I think. But if nothing else, it's a good list of maybe some charities you didn't know about in specific areas. So I'm going to recommend this page. Best way to find it, we'll put the link in the show notes, but best way, if you don't have that, is just look for Consumer Reports Best Charities, and you should get that hit pretty easily. So I'm going to go with that. So you can use that, and if you want to help any of those people out, then you can.
Thank you. Pick of the week.
No, dear. This one stresses me out so much. All right. Who went first last time?
I did.
You did. Well, then you get to go first again this time.
You know I say that every week, right?
I haven't caught on, so don't.
I'll go first.
Okay, cool.
All right, so I think you're starting to rub off on me a little bit,
oh dear,
Mr. Chris, because so I actually saw this as I think a deal of the day on Kinja or whatever. But
what?
Kinja, Kinja.
What is that?
It's it's owned by who owns Lifehacker and everything.
Okay.
That same group. Anyway,
all right.
All it is just special, deals.
Okay.
It's pretty cool. Anyway, that was it. Kinja, no. Okay. So they had this a deal of the day for this thing. I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this right or not, but it's Leo, Leeo.
Okay.
And what it is, it's a they call it it's a smart alert nightlight.
Okay. Hey, but you're channeling my picks now. I see. Okay.
I know. So what you do is it's this round thing. It looks kind of like it actually, about the size of a smoke detector.
Okay.
And you plug it into just a plug, an electric plug.
See. Okay.
And its sole purpose is to listen for your smoke alarm and carbon monoxide alarm.
Oh, okay.
And if one of those goes off, what it does is it sends you hook it to your phone, you connect it to your phone, and it connects to your Wi-Fi, but it sends you a message that the alarm is going off, and if I don't respond, it then rolls over and goes to your second person, and it alerts them, and then if they don't respond, it goes to a third person. I think you can keep adding people. I added 3 people, me and my wife and my sister.
Okay.
Because she's the closest one,
right,
who might be home.
Well, that's you got a lot of people to pick from close people.
I do. I mean, so anyway, but so it simply alerts you so that you can make a decision if you need to call 911 or whatever you need to do. So anyway, so it was really simple to set up.
Now, do you have to train it to your, because
so
not all smoke detectors have the same tone to them. Yeah.
That's correct. And so I have I actually did. So you put it on the alarm setting and you say, okay, I want to test. And it's like, okay. And then you go and push the alarm and just let it beep, and you can look on your phone and it has a little bar and it says it's listening, and then it'll say, okay, I got it. Okay. I got alarm 1. And then, I went upstairs because I have it in a spot where I was hoping it would hear downstairs and upstairs, and it does hear both. So I only need one of these.
Wow. Okay.
And so it heard both of them. I don't have a carbon monoxide alarm. I think I might need to go get one. But so anyway, so it's that simple. It has pretty much just one function. It does serve as a nightlight, and it's one of these cool ones that you can actually change the colors on.
Oh,
it's LED.
Nice. That's so neat.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
And then it's a silly feature, but it also tells you the temperature. For whatever reason, it keeps the temperature and humidity in the room.
Not? Okay.
Because why not? And so I go and I actually look at that.
Right.
And I'm like, and you can see like when the air conditioning kicks in,
Right.
It gets to a point and then it starts declining, and the humidity goes down and everything else. And so, anyway, so it's a, like I said, it has one purpose.
Yeah.
But I have to say, after getting this and seeing the little night light and everything else, I'm like, this home automation might be kind of good. It's almost
lightly.
like a gateway drug, right?
It really is. That's how it starts. But,
so anyway, that's
cool.
My pick of the week is Leo.
Okay. That's a great pick, and I'm looking at it on Amazon, and it's I think regular price is $49.
Yeah, so I got it for $30.
Yeah, that's a good buy. But I'm looking at the ratings, and gosh, out of 325 customer reviews, it's got an 80% 5-star rating. So pretty well liked.
Good.
That's great. Good pick. I might have to get one of those. It's kind of neat.
Yeah.
All right. Well, mine's not nearly as exciting as that, but I'll jump into it. So, this next one, it's kind of a boring pick, I'll be honest, but it's one of these things. I mean, almost nothing is more important than the things you have to use like every day, right? Mm-hmm. If you can find whatever that thing is, if it's a car or your phone or whatever the thing is that you got to use every single day, you better really like that thing, right?
Right.
So as a technology professional, I spend a fair amount of time on computers, and usually with a mouse that I'm using.
Yeah.
And over the years, I've owned all kinds of mice. I mean, I am a dinosaur, and I age all the way back to when mice first showed up with Macs. So I've had all kinds. I've had this. My pick is this one mouse that I have used now, I think for 2 years, maybe. And it hasn't changed much over that time because, frankly, I think it is the perfectest mouse ever. And especially if you use different computers, because this will actually let you switch. You can have one mouse and with a button on the bottom, you can switch between 3 different computers. So sometimes I use it on my laptop, sometimes on the desktop. Anyway, it's the Logitech MX Master. This thing is the best thing ever. I've used it on Windows. I've used it on Mac. It's maybe you can use it on Linux. This thing is great for so many reasons. It's a Bluetooth mouse, so you don't have to have one of those little dongles that you plug into USB for like a lot of wireless mice. It charges via USB, so it doesn't have batteries you have to replace, and it holds a charge for like forever. I think I charge mine up maybe once a month, and I use it all day long. It's got all kinds of different buttons and wheels on it to do all kinds of navigation. It is, it sounds boring to pick a mouse for my pick, but I can't tell you how many times I'm using this and going, God, I love this mouse, and I think I should make this my pick. So I know some people like those really flat, like Apple mice. I can't use those. I need something with a nice curve to it that I can rest my hand on.
You mean the one I'm using right now?
I didn't want to call you out, but whatever. I'm not sure what alien hands you have that works for. But this thing's fantastic. I mean, it's not a huge amount of money. It's $100. But so if you're shopping for a mouse, the Logitech MX Master, I think, is awesome and worth every penny. That's my pick.
Cool. Very good. I think I need to look at that and see.
Yeah, you do. Because I think once you'd have this, you'd go, oh, this is so much better. And you would never look back, to be quite honest.
Okay.
All right. Was that it? Was that a show?
I think that's the show.
All right. Don't forget to remind the people to see us on Facebook, on our Facebook page.
Oh, yes.
It's not an endorsement for Facebook necessarily, but everybody's got it. So right. Facebook.com/TronFM, right?
That's right.
Come say hi.
And if Chris ever agrees, we'll get a group page going.
That might be cool. I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
No,
that's
a good idea. Things, man. You're full of good ideas tonight.
I know. Yeah. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Terrific Recordings of Nothing. Follow Chris on Twitter and Instagram at CBGray, and Glenn on Twitter and Instagram at DizWiz. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Tron_FM, and on Facebook at Terrific Recordings of Nothing. For all things related to the show, including show notes and links to connect with us, visit us at tron.fm.
All right, listen. I have an issue to bring up with you.
Okay.
Glenn. Yeah. So, you remember, was it last time? I got our shows confused. I was talking about how I went on the new Soarin' ride.
Yeah.
Right? Or I went on Soarin' with the new movie, right?
Right.
And what did you tell me about that movie that completely shocked me?
That some of it is CGI.
Oh, now you're saying some of it is CGI. Oh, I see. This is where you need to insert a clip of the last show where you told me the entire thing. This is my time to talk. You listen. This is your time to listen.
Okay.
So I have it. So I want you to know that the Chris Army, the Team Chris out there that listens to the show and supports me, many of them contacted me and said, Glenn was wrong. It's mostly real video footage with some CGI thrown in. So what do you have to say for yourself? Do you have any defense for this?
It's.
I thought not. Okay.
Well, no, because I actually went back and checked. I self-checked myself, and I wasn't going to bring it up.
But you didn't mention it. I didn't get an apology. I didn't get a, hey, I don't really know what I'm talking about, Chris, but, because you made me feel like such a moron. I'm like, wait a minute, I know it's CG. There's no way that entire thing was CG. But you had
But a very good portion of it was, though. Including
fake news.
Some of the places.
Fake news. Like there's
like, I think that like the Taj Mahal and everything, I think the Great Wall of China is completely CGI.
No, I don't believe that for a second. I could see and in fact I think I just have it in front of me right now. I think one of the members of Team Chris sent me a link that they talk about where it was filmed. I think the Great Wall was, and I'm just basing it also on what I felt when I was watching it. I could totally see the Taj Mahal. That felt a little flat, little not real. But no, the Great Wall I think was actual like drone footage or something over the wall. They had drones when they shot that. I don't know.
Yeah, because China loves to have just American drones flying over there.
I'm sure you pay them enough money to shoot whatever you want.
Of course.
Anyway, okay. I just had to bring this up. Because all right, because otherwise it would have been passed off as you knew this great fact that you didn't. So,
look, man, these podcasts are really long, and a lot of times I'm just saying stuff. I just make stuff up.
A lot of times I just make up stuff just because we got to fill some time. So I don't want to just sit there and listen and learn something. So I got to talk. Yeah, right. And I see how you made it to management. So good for you. All right, good. Whew, at least let the record show Glenn was wrong. All right. Right now, we're at 1-0.
Okay, that's fine.
All right. We'll see.
Glad I don't have to put this in the show.
All right.
Since I'm editing it.
Don't listen to Glenn. All right. All right. That was it. Thank you.